Good evening and welcome back to another down and dirty how-to with bugs. Tonight, you guys can see we're doing something with the Warbird, or Warbirds, I should say, for this one. We're sitting in the P-51. This is a new airplane to our hangar. So we picked this up a few days ago, and it's helped quite a bit with making a few of the videos for comparisons and contrasts. So we're going to do just that today. So ever since I posted the down and dirty how to fly a Warbird, I saw a comment or two that awesome video, but I still crashed. I gotcha. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to cover the two different types of tail wheel locks for taxiing. We're going to taxi around a little bit with two different airplanes, and I'll get into the second one in a minute. But what we're going to do is we're going to taxi around this parking area. It's going to be nice and open for us, just to get a feel for how to turn the airplane, how the tail wheel swivel works, when it's locked, how that works, differential braking, because that's how you have to steer a Warbird. It's not like a modern jet with nose wheel steering. It's a little bit different. So, and the visibility, obviously, you guys know, is not the greatest from being a tail dragger as to a tricycle undergear like a modern jet or the P-38 would have, which I would love to see that come to DCS. That would be an awesome airplane to fly in this. If you guys want to see the P-38 in DCS, leave a comment below, and we'll see if we can rally up enough support for one that we can get any of the developers to start making one. I know there are a few more Warbirds coming, which I can't wait for because they're Navy-based, so that's right up my alley. But more on that later. So we're going to start this with the P-51. I'm going to go over a few things with that. We're going to taxi it around a little bit, and then we're going to take off with the Mustang. After that, we're going to switch over to the P-47, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to taxi it around a little bit, and then we'll bring it out, and we'll take off with that. So what that's going to do is it's going to cover the two different ways that your tail wheel lock and unlock works for taxiing. And the Thunderbolt's a little bit bigger than the Mustang is, so from flying both already, I can tell the visibility in the Mustang is a lot greater than it is in the P-47, because you don't have a giant honking engine in front of you, but I still love flying the Thunderbolt over the Mustang in the Warbird era, even over the ME-109, even though it's nimble and agile. But speaking of the ME-109, or the BF-109, however you guys want to call it, that, the FW-190 also have two different types of tail wheel lock system for taxiing as well. So the FW-190 is going to be like the P-51s, and the BF-109 is like the P-47s. So I'll touch more on that later when we fly the P-47, and I'll touch on that in a little bit when we fly the P-51 on how to move it around. As per the Spitfire, I believe it's the Yak 52, and the de Havilland Mosquito, I am not too sure. I have zero experience with any of those planes. I don't plan on having any anytime soon, but we'll see what happens with that. So we're going to focus for the aircraft tonight that we're flying are the P-47 and the P-51, but the way that they taxi, it's all going to be the same. You're going to use the similar concept with one of the two controls that we're going to discuss momentarily. So, I know that was a mouthful. Thank you guys for sticking around that much. Hopefully it helped and just sheds a little bit of light on certain things, but enough talking. let's unpause and then let's put all of what I just said into practice, and we'll get the Warbird spun around over here in the parking area, and then we'll spin it out to the end of the runway, and then that'll be the part 2, I guess you can say, of this video, is how to taxi and then how to take off. So let's unpause and get to it. Now, obviously, make sure you have your controls mapped and bound the way that you need them and that you see fit. Your basic ones are going to be your rudder, your left and right brakes, your throttle, your pitch and roll axis on your joystick, and your propeller RPM. Those are the basic ones to get you flying. So we're doing this from a hot start. If you guys don't know how to cold start these things, don't worry about it. Just select takeoff from parking hot, and you guys will be set to go. That's how we are right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to taxi out to our left. We're going to come up straight a little bit. We're going to spin it around, do a couple other little ground maneuvers here, and then we will head on out to take off. So everything is ready to go. So now, the biggest key is you do not want to go fast. You want to be nice and easy on the power. You don't want to go sailing straight ahead into the desert floor over there, because you're not going to make it very far. So nice and easy up on your throttle. You hear the RPM coming up. Now just as she starts to lurch forward, just like that, start rolling from there. I mean, you heard I just pulled a little bit of power out, but okay, nice and easy. Let's brake, so we stop. So now what we're going to do to steer the Mustang around and the FW190, the tail wheel is controlled by the joystick. If you push full forward stick, you're going to unlock your tail wheel and you're going to be able to swivel this thing around very easily. If you pull it back and then it returns to neutral, your tail wheel is locked, and now you'll be going straight. So what we're going to do here is we're going to push full forward on the stick. We're off the brakes. Nice, easy up on the power, just to get her rolling a little bit. And then once she starts rolling, we're going to gently introduce a little bit of left brake, and then the nose of the airplane starts turning to the left. Now my stick is full forward, tail wheel's unlocked. Let's straighten out, a little bit of right brake, go off the left, a little bit of right. Now you see how it's still swiveling around to the left. Let's come off the forward stick. Let's pull it back. Now we're going straight. Okay, so forward to unlock the tail wheel, back to lock the tail wheel. Okay, and like I said, differential braking is going to be your left and your right toe brakes. It's going to be the same thing in the P47, the ME109, the FW190, A8 or D9, the Spitfire, the Mosquito, any tail dragger. It's going to be the same thing. Okay, we don't have the pleasure of nose wheel steering on this. So let's throttle up again a little bit. Let's get her rolling. Nice and easy. Okay. Now, if I hit the left brake, you see we don't really move that much. Just the left side of the plane jerks down like it wants to stop. That's what the tail wheel locked. So we're going to unlock it again. A little bit of left brake. Let's straighten out. A little bit of throttle. Let's lock our tail wheel again. Nice and easy. You don't want to go too crazy fast, because if you give it too much power, you can potentially nose over, and then you're S over T kettle and you're useless, or you're just not going to have that great control of the airplane. Alright, so we're cruising along nice and straight here. Let's push the full forward stick, and now let's mash the left brake. A little bit of power, and now we've spun it around. A little bit of right brake, and then there we go. Alright, so I'll do that again. We'll give it a little bit of power. I'm going to lock the tail wheel so we're pointed straight. Just easy coming into it. Keep the power up. Unlock, mash the right brake, spin her around, left brake, and there we go. Okay, so do stuff like that. Practice moving the airplane around on the ground before you go to take off, because then you're going to see how certain things are going to interact when you get to either the taxi phase or the takeoff rollout. So, with that being said, let's move this thing straight a little bit, and let's get her over to the runway and line her up, and I'll show you guys how to take off with one of these things. And then we're going to do the same exact thing again in the P-47 momentarily. So let's go full forward stick, mash the left brake, a little bit of power, spin her around, a little bit of right brake, and let's lock our tail wheel. And let's bring her straight out. Now you don't want to keep the power up too long. You want to bring it down manageable. Okay, so now we're gonna just tap our brakes ever so slightly. Let's go stick full forward, a little bit of left brake. There we go. Now we're on our yellow line for taxiing out. Our nose is straight, a little bit of power. You don't want to hear it growl too much. Let's come right a little bit. Now you guys are going to have to do a constant S kind of turn with these things so you can see over the nose in front of you. As you see, I'm just gently bringing her out. And I can see in front of me everything's nice and clear, so we're looking good. And like I said, just easy on the throttle, easy on the brakes. My tail wheel is unlocked right now, so I'm holding full forward stick just so I can move it around, and I'm going to lock it in a minute when I come into this straightaway here. Okay, let's start coming back on the stick, let it return to neutral. Now let's lock it, pull back on it, and make it move straight. Now once she's locked, you can return the stick to neutral. That is important for takeoff. If you hold full aft stick on your takeoff rollout, the tail is not going to come off the ground. The nose of the airplane is going to come straight up, and it's going to stall before it even gets there. So let's go easy on that. I'll show you that in a second. So let's push forward again. I'm sure you guys are getting the gist of this now. A little bit of left brake. Let's turn. Line up straight. Nice and easy. Short line here. Stay somewhat on our center line. Now, if you guys want to do your run up and whatnot, you can. I'm not going to do that tonight. We're just going to get her out to the runway, just for time's sake for the video. very gently using my brakes to steer which way I want the airplane. You've heard me say it in videos before, toes where you want your nose. So if you're going to be going right, you're going to want to hit your right brakes. Okay? It may sound silly, but it works. So we'll straighten that right here. Let's lock our tail wheel up. Okay, now our tail wheel's locked. We are lined up on the runway. We're ready to go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we're trimmed for takeoff. You guys set your trim as you see fit if you're carrying ordnance, fuel pods, etc., etc. So right now we're a completely slick airplane, so we don't really have to worry too much about that. But we're going to give it, well, our flaps are down for takeoff. Tail wheel's locked. Okay, now when you go to take off, easily introduce the throttle. Alright, so count in your head 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato. Kind of like a 3-second throttle advance. If you have detents in your throttle, you have to work around that. Because that's I have it set for the full military power on jets, but it's a little bit different with a Warbird. So make sure you have enough power to get off the ground. Watch your instruments, watch your nose. As we start rolling, we're going to have to start introducing rudder to keep the plane straight on the runway. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to keep the brakes off. The flaps are set. Tail wheel's locked. We are not going to pull full aft stick. So we're going to make sure she's locked as we roll out. You can tell immediately. Let's bring the power up. Start introducing right rudder. See the nose starting to pull a little left. So right rudder, there we go. Nice and easy, hold it. Let the nose come down. Just like that, tails up. And we're up in the air, come off the rudder. Flaps up, gear up. Don't over control it. As you can see, there's a very good tendency to do that. Let me just slow this thing down a little bit. So you can see there's a very good tendency to want to over-control the airplane. Don't over-control it. Just ease of use on the controls. You're going to have to give it rudder in order to take off because the torque of the engine is going to want to pull it a certain way. You have to counteract for that. Your takeoff trim will help you so much, but there's only so much that that's going to do. You'll see that with the P-47. It's a little bit more obvious than this. So that's how to take off and taxi around with the Warbird, like the P-51 that uses the joystick for your tail wheel lock and how to manipulate that. So what we're going to do, we're going to get a quick little flyby of the P-51, and then we're going to jump into the P-47 and do the same thing. Okay, let's jump out of here really quick. Let's go to the mission editor. And let's swap this out for the P-47. Okay, fuel's good. Boop, boop, boop. Nothing on the plane. Beautiful. Okay. So flight mission, save, yes. All right, guys. So the P-47 is going to be a little different. I'll go over the basic controls again really quick, and we'll go from there. As you guys can see, how much bigger the nose is on the Thunderbolt or the Jug as opposed to the P-51, so our visibility really is much more limited with this. So, again, same controls, your brakes, rudder, pitch roll, throttle, prop RPM. Now for the P-47, you're going to want your mixture mapped as well. This one's a little bit different in that aspect, but more importantly, there's our tail wheel lock and unlock on this, as opposed to the P-51 where it's on the joystick. This one's drastically different, and I'm going to show you guys how to handle this one, but just like the P-51. This one, it's a little more forgiving for certain things, but it's a little more detrimental for others. So it's a lot easier to forget to lock the tail wheel on this as opposed to the P-51. So you just got to keep that in mind. So let's make sure she's unlocked. Now what we're going to do is the same thing. We're going to give it a little bit of juice and bring her forward a little bit. Turn to the left. Tail wheel's unlocked. So now we're using our brakes. You see how she's wanting to go to the left already? Compensate a little bit of right brake, and you can hold her pretty straight. Just a little bit. You don't need a lot of brake, so. Let's bring it to the left a little bit. There we go. Nice and easy. Back on the power a little. Straighten her out. Now you lock the tail wheel. Now you see this one, how the nose just snapped right back into place. You can tell that this one locks pretty easily. And you can also see you can turn the P-47 a little bit more with the tail wheel locked as opposed to the P-51 with just the brakes. You don't want to go too crazy with them because you will burn them out. So let's slow down a little bit. Now you see the visibility on this really sucks. So let's unlock our tail wheel. Now again, let's give some throttle. Let's mash our left brake. Spin her around, back on the throttle, a little bit of right brake, and then here we are. Alright, so the similar concept to the P-51, except that you have a handle back here to lock this thing for you. So you're going to taxi it the same exact way. A little bit of throttle and differential braking. So let's lock our wheel up again. And we're rolling straight. And nice and easy. So let's make a turn here, unlock the tail wheel. A little bit of right brake, spin it around. Left brake, straighten her out, lock the wheel. Wheel's locked, there we go. Let's unlock her. Left, and a little bit of right brake, straighten it out again, lock the tail wheel. Now we're going straight, just like that, guys. My best advice is to just practice it, because once you get a handle of it and the muscle memory, then you'll be a lot better off. It's like flying a helicopter, the same thing. So with that being said, let's unlock the tail wheel. Let's spin her to the left. Let's get her lined up on the runway, and then we'll go over taking off with the P-47. So this is going to be similar to the ME-109, or the BF-109, whatever you guys want to call it. That has a lever adjust as well, like the P-47 does, but it has its own handling characteristics. The narrow undercarriage on the 109 makes it a little bit more finicky to try and take off. This is a nice wide one. This is honestly the most stable I feel out of all the Warbirds I've flown so far. It's probably going to be up there with the FW-190, but she is pretty rock solid. So the same thing again with that S-turn, nice and easy on the power. You don't want to go too fast. Just keep an eye out in front of you. Just work with your brakes. Tail wheel is still unlocked. Now we're going to come to the straightaway again. Let's lock her. She's locked. And then you unlock her, and then you can pivot it around just like that. Alright, so we know that there's nobody in front of us, so let's just lock the thing and get to the end of the runway. Easy on the power. Make sure your prop's full forward. Make sure you're set to auto rich. Okay. Let's unlock our wheel for a second here. Goes to the left a little. Alright. Let's come up to our hold short. And we'll do the same thing all over again, except this one I'm going to hold short for 1 second. So I just want to point out one little quick thing with the flaps on the P47 as opposed to the P51. So let's hold up here for a sec. So the P51, you just drop the flap switch all the way down, and it brought them down. You can see the Thunderbolts come down a lot more than the P51s. So with the Thunderbolt, I like to go 10 degrees for takeoff and landing. It'll give you a nice little easy glide up. Our rudder trim is in for takeoff. Like I said before, that's only going to help us out so much. We're going to have to compensate with rudder input as we're going. And now this one, you have a couple more things to deal with as you get up in the air. You gear up, your flaps up. You're going to want to make sure your cowl flaps get closed, and then your cooler doors are set as needed. So we're just going to worry about the cowl flaps when we get up in the air right quick, and then that's about it. So let's get this thing rolling out here. Our flaps are set. Now mind you, we are a slick airplane. We have no fuel tanks, no ordnance, just ammo in the guns. That's about it. So you're going to have to compensate for that with your flap input on your takeoff rollout. So just keep that in mind. Not every takeoff is going to be the same. So we're going to straighten our nose out here now really quick. Lock the tail wheel. Okay, now we are ready to go. So again, just like the P51, we're going to do a 3-second throttle advance, and then we're going to start inputting some rudder, let the tail come up, nose drop, and then she should glide right off the runway. So here we go. Power's coming on. Right rudder is coming in, nice and gentle. Tail wheel's locked. See, she's going up nice. Nose is coming down, tail's coming up. Right rudder, and she's up, back gentle, F stick, flaps up, gear up. Let's close our cowl, flaps up. And we're flying. Just like that, guys. Takeoff rollout in the P47, guys. Just how to taxi it the same way. The biggest thing that I want you guys to take away from this is just practice, practice, practice. The more hours you put in, the better off you're going to be. It can be frustrating, it can be finicky, it can get tiring, it can get boring, but if you guys want to excel at doing it, that's the only way to do it. just set up in an empty lot like that, work on taxiing it around, take off a couple of times. So, let's get a quick little flyby of the P-47, then we do the P-51, and then we'll come back out. There she goes. Alright guys, I really hope you guys found that helpful. Much more to come, the down and dirty stuff. More on Warbirds, fast jets, helicopters, you name it, it'll be there. But until the next one, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe for more. And until the next sortie, strap in, arm up the seat, and keep flying.